Hey, thank you for introducing me and for inviting me on. Yeah, I wanted to. I'm not a super experienced front-end developer. I actually came into this only, well, March last year, so that will be what, like 9 months ago, 10 months ago, something. I was an executive assistant in a fintech company. So I didn't do any coding at all. I just, yeah, I mean, I taught myself some VBA, but that was kind of it. Um, I'd never opened Visual Studio Code before or anything. My role got made redundant, like a lot of people, because of the pandemic. And I moped around for a little bit, and then I was like, I need to do something. What can I do? Something completely new that I'd never done before. So I decided to learn to code. I'm not really sure why. I mean, I like learning, and I I feel like I just want to learn everything all the time, and nothing was ever kind of enough. I'd be like, oh, okay, I've learned this now, and it's boring. But I feel like the world of development is completely not like that. And creating stuff I quite like doing as well. So yeah, I bought a JavaScript course, like JavaScript beginner course on Udemy, and sat down for months, and like every day I would do at least an hour, sort of regardless of what else I was doing. Um, yeah, I sort of consistently do that every single day, for months. And once I'd finished that, I started building a few things myself. And yeah, I think I have some projects on GitHub, but it's only in JavaScript. I had no idea what I was doing, so it's all just in JavaScript, and it's just code. It doesn't look like anything, and there's no front end to it. So then I learnt what CSS was, and that was kind of fun. Um, and I started to realize that I could put visual to all this stuff that I'd done. You know, I could put something into it. Um, so yeah, I started to do that. HTML, I did that, but it kind of felt, I don't know, it felt natural. Like I could just, I don't know whether I did it when I was younger or something, but it just felt natural to do. So yeah, I kind of started doing that, and then I was on. I had a Twitter account like before all of this, but I didn't really do anything with it. But I started a new Twitter account when I started learning to code, and I thought, all this stuff that I'm learning, I can write and I can teach other people, as I go. And yeah, and so that's what I did. And people seem to people seem to quite enjoy my sense of humor, I guess, and my failures. Yeah, I post about everything, all the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm bad at, the things that I'm good at, the things that I'm struggling with. People always want to help. People are great most of the time. Um, and yeah, so I've started writing articles, and I blog, and I'm on dev.to, and um, yeah, and I've always been a sort of writer, and written. Um, I've always kind of been good at writing, and yeah, it just kind of followed on to like development, that I could create and I could write, but this time it was code, and it was sort of more interesting, I suppose. And so yeah, I've been finding it fun. And I saw on Twitter, someone, like, he was talking about something, and he kept posting about this company, but I didn't really know what it was. And then he posted, that he wanted some review, like some feedback on the website. So I went on there, and me being me, I spotted some typos, and I was like, well, you could probably improve this and that and this. And I was very, very honest about it. Um, and yeah, and we kind of got talking, and um, I asked if there were any opportunities at his company, and I explained that I knew some Git, and I knew some CSS and JavaScript, and these sort of things. And he said, no, there's no opportunities at the company. You know, we're a very small startup. We're not funded. We're just sort of doing this. And I I sort of said, okay, that's fine. Kind of don't worry about it, kind of thing. But then I went away and I thought, like, am I just going to carry on learning by myself? And where is that going to get me? I'm, you know, it kind of got to the point where I knew the theory of the fundamentals, but I didn't know how to put it into practice apart from making a few little things by myself. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of find. You know, they know X, Y, Z about whatever language they're interested in, but then they don't know what to do with that. So I went back to Dan and I said, look, I can, you know, I'm in a position that we can, you know, I've been learning for X amount of time and I'm in a position that how about if I do it unpaid, which seems like a sort of backwards thing to do. Like, obviously I want to be paid to do this stuff. I'm not wanting to do it for free forever, but for me, I'm able to pair program with another front end developer, and I'm able to work with him. And he can kind of show me the ropes, and it's working within a development team that I wasn't you can't get that experience from listening to lectures on Udemy. And I think yeah, I think it's a really useful thing to do. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of backwards. Like, no, I don't want to work unpaid, but I'm not, I don't look at it as I'm working unpaid. I'm learning, and I'm learning how to be a developer so that when I step into a paid position, whether that's doing development or developer advocate or whatever it is, I will have that knowledge of what it's like to be in a development team. Um, and you know, we use Tailwind, Vue with Nuxt, and Laravel. Laravel, I don't know anything about. That's not my thing. Like, backend stuff is not my thing. Um, and yeah, and we were using Docker. We've just moved away from it, but we were using Docker. No, 9, 10 months ago, I'd never heard of any of these things. I had no idea what any of them were. If you said Docker to me, I'd have thought you were talking about boats or something. You know, I'd have no idea. But I learned what Docker was over one weekend when, after Dan said to me that I could join the team, I was like, cool, right, I'm going to learn all this stuff. And so I wrote an article on Docker, and it just, I don't know, like, it just kind of clicked. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to learn about these things that I've never even heard of before, and I want to write about them and teach other people. And I mean, on dev.to, my Docker article's got, I think, just over 10,000 views, and the amount of people that have commented on it and said, like, this is so helpful. Like, you've explained it so well. I just think that that's the best way to be in a position to explain to people and teach people when you are in a position yourself that you are just learning it. You know, before that weekend, I'd never heard of Docker, but now I could probably kind of just about explain to you what it is. And I think a burrito, that's how I described it, as a burrito. It's a speedy burrito. Everything's wrapped up all together, and it's great because of because it means that you don't have to install lots of different dependencies and versions of things. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's what Docker is. That's what Docker is. And yeah, and the networking opportunities that I've had from working with Dan and the team, I've been able to work with a senior developer, CTO kind of guy, on some freelance stuff. That was fun. And I've done some freelance tech writing stuff and some marketing stuff. And so it's afforded me all these freelance opportunities. But yeah, so I mean, it's difficult because I wouldn't recommend people offering to work unpaid, but I think for me personally, I think it's been good, because it's meant that I can see how a dev team works, and I can see how a real code base looks, and the networking and teaching that I've been able to do from it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing the story. I think it's super inspiring to anyone who's new to tech and is interested in coming, because there's so many different roads to it, right? Not everybody is going to have a degree in something and go the traditional route. So it's nice to see, non-traditional ways of getting into it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, it's been a tough time, like for everyone, I think, obviously at the moment, but yeah, and I think in August I was really ill. I was in hospital, so it's like you have to take breaks and take life sort of seriously, but learning, I think, always learning. I'm still learning in hospital. Yeah, and that was really cool. So this has been my TED talk. Thank you for listening.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we have a number of questions right now, actually, that I can start with. So the first one is, what is your number one piece of advice for people just getting started in the tech industry?
I think don't be afraid to reach out to people, and don't be afraid to talk about the things that you're struggling with and the things that you get wrong, because the amount of times that I have posted that I've got something, or I've posted on Twitter a screenshot or something of some code that I've written, and someone's like, well, that's wrong, but let me show you how to do it right. And then, yeah, the amount that I've learned from Twitter is ridiculous. There's a lot of clever people there. And yeah, so I think be confident and own what you're doing, and don't be worried about getting things wrong.
So that leads into another question, which is, what is one of your favorite things about being part of the tech community on Twitter?
Oh, so many things. Everyone is so funny and helpful, and mostly, oh yeah, like 99.9% lovely and nice, and people want to help, and people want to share their experiences, and people want to share their knowledge, because it makes them feel good. Like, when you learn something, you want to be like, hey, I learned this. That's what people do, whether they're a junior developer or a senior developer. Everyone wants to not show off, because that sounds bad, but they want to be like, yeah, I can help you with this, because I know about it. So yeah, nice. Everyone's so lovely and helpful.
What do you see yourself doing next?
I'm actually looking out for developer advocate roles at the moment. That's what I want to do, because I think it kind of rolls everything into the content creation that I've been doing over the past almost year it's been now, and all the writing and marketing and coding. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of rolls all the knowledge into one, and that's the direction that I want to go in at the moment, writing and developer advocate kind of role.
Yeah, nice. What do you enjoy most about what you're currently doing?
What I'm currently doing at the moment with WeStrive, I mean, learning, it's constant learning every day. I love the banter on the stand-ups. We do work most of the time, but we just mess around. It's a lot of fun. They're good. They're good people. And I'm able to have, almost an influence over this platform that's going, is gaining traction, and people are going on it, and people are looking at stuff that I'm doing, like a page that I've made, it makes me feel really proud. Like I've made something and people are going on there. It's live and people are looking at it.
Yeah, that's really special. That's really cool. Do you find that there's any transferable skills or any similarities to what you did before to what you're doing now?
I think the communication side of things, with what I used to do, working in finance as an executive assistant, like you have to be confident and you have to be able to speak to everyone and not be afraid to be like, I made a mistake. Can you help me? Because in finance, I don't know if anyone works or has worked in finance. You've got to be on it. You've got to be like, hey, I've made a mistake. Someone come and help me. Otherwise, people are going to be really upset. Yeah, and I think communication, being able to speak to, yeah, like I said, anyone and everyone.
Yeah. And then we have one more. It's how did you start building your Twitter network?
That's an interesting one. I've written about that actually. I think because I mean it started out just for me. Well, not just for me, but like what I mean is I didn't start out with the intention of, hey, I'm going to end up with 10,000 or however many Twitter followers. It was more, who can I help? Like, how can I help people here? Because I'm learning all this new stuff that I'm doing, or whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're cooking or skiing or anything. Like, how can I help other people? It's not how can how can I get people to want to follow me? It's how can I help other people? And that seems to, I have my DMs open, which sometimes backfires. But the amount of time the people are just like, I have this problem on JavaScript and I'm stuck. And so I try and help them. And most of the time I have to, look up how to do it, what they're doing myself. But it's having the conversations with people and figuring out problems together. And I think that's how you just be open and friendly and talking to people. That's what I think is the key.